Hello. Hello. My name is Adam Hudson, and this is training for Compass Point Leadership Solutions to deliver training to CyberLink Dynamics in cybersecurity. And this is Module 3, which follows Module 2 of interpersonal communication. Module 3 is information. So let's bring up our presentation. And Module 3. And there we go. So module 3, informational competencies. My name's Adam Hudson. This is following the interpersonal competencies, and we are on informational competencies. First off, let's reminder that what we're here for. We're here to make cybersecurity better for the cybersecurity firm, and we are the consultants. And so what is a competency? What we could see here from Mintzberg is that a competency could be understood as the sharing of copious amounts of information with a large number of people allows for a greater extended network that can conduct affairs globally. So with that, where our cybersecurity, we need to be aware of everything globally. And in the large number of people, we're all on the same understanding and have a shared understanding of the information, which would lead to a competency. So in module 3, we're going to go over the informational plane of management, and what we're talking about when we say informational competency is data in specific. In order to be competent in information, what we could do is find it from here from the competency of information could be understood as handling of complexity, problems, and challenges that require high order thinking. That's what we're talking about when to be competent in the informational plane of the data that we're talking about is informational data. How this can apply to our competency and being a manager and being in the cybersecurity field is information that can extend the network that we work in. So this information that is shared and understood through the competency of you guys, which is cybersecurity, extends your network in the group of cybersecurity as a whole. So module 3, again, this is a competency of information for cybersecurity. We're the consultants trying to make you competent in informational use and what exactly type of information is data. And we'll be going over the use of big data, not just small information that comes in that everybody has access to, or even a select few. We're talking about massive amounts of information that will be utilized by you in preventing cyber attacks and becoming competent in this informational field. So what do we like what information data, like, how much exactly, like, are we talking about? This is what we mean when we say big data. So currently, the amount of information, the amount of data that transfers in 1 second amounts to all the data that was collected in a 20 years past. So 20 years past, all that data transfers across the internet in 1 second currently. So, there's a big shift. There was a lot of data back then, but all that was collected. If you compare that to now, that amount of data that was collected 20 years ago in one place, that transfers in 1 second in our current atmosphere. So that's what we're talking about when we say big data, like the amount of it, that's what we're talking about. A little bit more specifically, we're talking about exabytes, which you guys might not be familiar with, but an exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes. So when big data is being talked about, they're talking about exabytes, which is 1 billion gigabytes. So that's the kind of size we're talking about. So with that size and information and all that data, like where does it go? How do you see it? How do you use it? How do you present it? Is through software. And that's the next step. We know what competency is, what the focus is. We're focused on information, we're focused on data, we have the amount. Now, how do we present it, or how can we make it visual, or how can we work with it? That's how we work with it with software. Software bring a platform so that we could contextualize the data. What does that mean? There's multiple softwares, multiple platforms, but to put it in specific, the context that we're talking about is cybersecurity. So that's gonna put us in a field of focus of what we're looking at, what we're looking for in the data, and that's what the software is gonna provide us, is a place to look for through all that data to find out how we could prevent hackers, how we could provide security over the internet through this information. So the software systems that we're talking about, what beyond them giving us being able to contextualize it, what we're looking for, or what is presented through that is leverage points in the data, in the dimensions specifically. So what does that mean? The domain that we're focused in on could be um, amount of traffic that goes from one server to the next that is the customer of the cybersecurity. So if we're looking at 100,000 sign-ins to your company, who you guys, the cybersecurity firm that you guys are working for, the company that employs you, if they're looking at 100,000 sign-ins every day, that's the domain. We're looking at 100,000 sign-ins. That's the information that's coming through there. The software presents it. Okay, now we know that 100,000 sign-ins every day come in to your business that you're providing cybersecurity for. How we look for leverage points or places of interest is if that number would drop to like 50,000, or if that number would jump to 500,000. That's the point of leverage, is the difference. You're finding a difference from the data, the big data, the information on the software to tell you something is wrong. That's how we would use that software. So, in saying that, this is the observation as the cybersecurity firm of a competency. Like, what would make you competent to view this information? Like, what's needed? What kind of perspective you're looking at? And but before that, I want to let you know, like, the how we went over how much information is going through the internet now, and how there's a big shift in the type of leverage points we're looking at in defending cyber attacks. Before, this is in the past before, the 20 years of data that we collected now transfers in 1 second. We know that. So what does that mean? Defense built solely on the elements of faith-based security, unaided intuition, and best practices are no longer sufficient to protect us. The era of the security shaman is rapidly fading, and it is time to adopt the proven tools and techniques being used in other disciplines to take an evolution step into data-driven security. So that's a quote given by Jacobs 2014. You can find all these references, these comments, quotes in the references. But that's the shift that we're talking about. That's the going from in 20 years we collected all our data, and now presently all that amount of information transfers over the internet in 1 second. The leverage points of understanding the information, that big amount of data that we chose in the domain of logins that is being presented on a software, that we have 100,000 sign-ins, knowing that, taking that data and information, and when there's a difference, that's the point that we're looking for through utilizing our big data that you could see on the platform of the software. So going back to being competent and using this information, like what kind of orientation do you guys need at the cyber firm to protect your clients? Two ways of looking at it. Now you can see here, you need to be an expert and a skeptic. Interpretation is the ability to take in this information and present it to others. So, you know, you if we're looking at the domain of sign-ins, yeah, everybody knows what a sign-in is, but knowing the amount of sign-ins per day, like we said, is 100,000. When that changes, an expert will know that there's a difference in something's wrong, something's off, something's not right, and an expert would know that, because if you weren't an expert and you just saw it and you saw on the software the data come in that there was 250,000 sign-ins on that day, or maybe just one, an expert wouldn't say anything, they wouldn't bring it up. You, as the cybersecurity firm business, need to be competent, and by showing that, you would say something's wrong, something's off, because you're the expert in the information in the domain of sign-ins. How we do it here at Compass Point, and how you should do it at Cyberlink. So this is again, being an expert and a skeptic is how we find competency. That's how what we're teaching you. This is what you need to do at cybersecurity. Next, being an expert, it would be the skeptic. So how does that go together? Being an expert in the domain of whatever it might be, we'll stick with sign-ins. You're know that domain so well to be an expert that you question how it works. That's the skeptic part. You question how the system works, because you know the information and the domain that you're working in, which is sign-ins, so well that you begin to question how it works, and ways that it could fail, ways that it could be better. So we all know the big shift in the two authenticators recently in the past few years that we've all had to adopt to. Knowing that, knowing that now we need two devices to sign in, knowing how that works makes you the expert. So let's just go over that real quick. When you go to sign in to a platform, and this is your customer, CyberLink's customer, if they're having sign in and they have the two authenticator sign-ins, which sign in, they're logging in, their employees are logging in to their email, whatever, they sign in, then it needs to go to a device to authorize saying that that's to that person. The information and data that comes to you at CyberLink, which is presented on the software, would tell you that for every s- two-step, there needs to be harmony. There needs to be a click here and a click there, right? So through all the logins, let's say on a normal day, it's the 100,000 that log in. There should be 200,000 data points that come with that. If you're off one data point, two data points, that's the expert and the skeptic knowing how that system works. And if that's off, then the skeptic says something's wrong, something's broken. How is that? How did that happen? And the skeptic is the one that questions it and finds out, let's just say, I don't know, that they hooked up their two authenticator to the same device using one information, using one data point from the internet, and the other they have their phone number linked to their device, which the that they do the internet on. What you would be getting back is not two data points, you'd be getting one data point. Is that allowed? That's the kind of mindset we're trying to get you to think in at Compass Point. That's how we think. That's how we want you to think in at Cyberlink to protect your customers and their business. And in approaching it that way, you become the expert and the skeptic. And if you can see here in these images, that's how we think at Compass Point. That's the lady on the left. That's how we want you to think. That's how a business would think. But we got to look at the other side, the next picture. What is this? What is this person? Does this person doesn't look very honest? This person doesn't look like he works at Cyberlink. He doesn't look like he works at Compass Point. He doesn't look like he's an honest fellow. But saying that mindset and being an expert and a skeptic isn't just limited to you guys. It's to everybody. And the ones that you're trying to prevent getting into your system are these people who think in that way, who think as know the system in and out and start to question how it works and how it could break to get in and do harm. So that's that's what we're getting at. That's what makes you competent on the informational plane, more specifically big data, how you use it, what it is, how you contextualize it. You could have it coming in all the data points, then you need the software. But beyond the software to contextualize it, the domain that you're looking at, we use sign-ins, but it could be any domain. It could be um, traffic. It could be the people that are going in and out of the platform of your business that you're providing security for. It could be that amount of traffic. Does it fluctuate? Where's it going? Who's coming in? Who's signing on? Who's using the internet? Who's not using the internet? Do you have a Wi-Fi code? How does the code work? Those are different domains which you need to be an expert in each of them. But also, as you become an expert, you begin to question how it works. That's where you get the skeptic. Between those two orientations of looking at information, makes you that gives you the competency of this informational plane that we're trying to teach here at Compass Point for you guys in the cybersecurity of Cyberlink. So the next up is actionable competencies, and that will be module 4.